Take roll call. Kent Maggart's here. Jens Frederick.
Here.
Murray Smith.
Here.
Pete Perez. Sharon Day Marseille.
Here.
Yeah, we got a quorum. And we've got received comments from the public. And let me ask you, we got anybody that's not commenting about the tax rate? Or you're gonna
Not coming about the tax rate?
no, I just want to check if you're talking about the tax rate or the Honeycomb Ridge.
Honeycomb Ridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is an agenda item and the tax rate is an agenda item. So when we get to that agenda item, you're welcome to talk about it since they're an agenda item. So we've got Mr. Hauser that's here to make a public comment. And you're welcome to it.
Cardinal.
You have the floor.
Oh my gosh, here we go. All right. I guess first off, I'm here represent myself. I'm a concerned citizen of Mud 36. I'm not here to aggravate anyone or to give anybody point fingers or do any of that. I've been here since 1977. I've owned 4 homes in Mud 36. I'm a resident here for a good while. I was a president of a local board. I was involved in forming the Woodlands Joint Powers Association, which turns into Waterworks. We worked with Michael Page, Olaf Gerson, Al Bro, and others to put the JPA together, to put the Waterworks together, to put the MUDs together, and for them to work together and share cost and share issues to make this a better place to live. I just really have 4 questions. And this regards, I know your budget issues are coming up. I know you've had requests on dams falling apart and needing help. I know you've got a lot of issues that you're addressing. I know the government has hamstrung you with your growth potential with taxes or anything without going to the public. A lot of issues I know that you're dealing with, but I want to give you 4 questions for your board for the MUD. Because I have seen a financial deterioration in Mud 36, and that concerns me. The age of the MUD concerns me. The infrastructure around it concerns me. And that at some point, those issues are going to be addressed, if not by this board, future boards. How are you going to improve the cash position of the MUD with this budget? How are you going to improve your bond rating with this MUD district? How are you going to be able to handle major infrastructure issues that will occur? Maybe not in our lifetimes, but they're going to occur and you're going to have to deal with them. And how are you going to work with the other MUDs to make that happen? And how have you put yourself in a position where you're dependent upon the San Jacinto River Authority and or Waterworks to bail you out if you don't have the cash, you don't have the bond rating, and you don't have the ability to deal with any major issues that come aboard? What reserves? Now, I'm going to compliment the past boards in one area. You've kept taxes down, you've kept fees down, you've done what you felt was your responsibility, and I congratulate you and past boards on that. But we've been here 50 years now, and you've not set up reserves enough to deal with the future. And so your cash position is the lowest of all the MUDs. Your bond rating is the worst of all the MUDs. And you've had 50 years to make that happen, even if it was just a little bit of an increase. So you can congratulate yourselves, pat you on the back for keeping things down. And I benefited from that. Hey, loved it. But I am worried about future generations and the future people ahead of us who are going to be stuck with whatever the San Jacinto River Authority shoves down your throat, because they're going to represent the whole area. They're not going to represent this MUD. So I'm just putting you on notice that the public is unaware of where you are. 95% of people don't have any idea what's going on in Mud 36. Okay, only a few who keep their ears to the ground and pay attention. And so you're going to be putting yourself in a position that if you have something come up, you're not going to have the money. And where are you going to get it? Where are you going to get the money? And so I'm just asking those questions. And so you put yourself in a position of Sanderson River Authority or Waterworks of shoving down fees and costs to you, which is the same thing as taxes, as far as I'm concerned. If they shove your contract and higher prices for water and higher prices for sewage, it's only the same thing as taxes are going to have to pay for it. And unfortunately, the way the Mud 36 was put together, it's a residential mud. It doesn't have a lot of commercial properties attached to it that you could grow. It doesn't have a lot of high-end capabilities, so you could put multi-story buildings up and improve your tax values. And that worries me. And so, I don't know. I don't have the answers for you. I'm just giving you those questions, and maybe y'all can address them and deal with them. And I'm not saying, hey, man, I'm here in favor of taxes. Heck no, we should have set reserves up all along so that any kind of tax increase that's substantial that handles a problem. Now, Waterworks might have, Woodlands Water might have all the answers, and I'm just whistling in the wind here. But I do think they need to be addressed, and one little budget, 1 year, might get you reelected, might get you in good stead for those who are anti-tax. But when things hit the fan, where are we going to be? My water went out last week, broken pipe. They had to run out and fix it. One down the street, 1 block away, went out again. They had to come out and fix it. It's going to keep happening. It's not an odd thing happening. It's going to continue to happen because our infrastructure is in a tough situation. And 50 years we had to address it. We didn't. We should have put money away, had the taxes a little higher, fees a little higher, just so you could build up a reserve and keep your credit rating. Now you've blown your credit rating. That worries me. And so I'm going to leave you with that. And I think there's others that would love to do it, but I'm really worried that the public won't know, and it's going to hit them hard, and then they're going to have a harder time dealing with it than you might think. You might think, because they're just not aware of it. They don't look at their bill. They just pay it. Okay. And so anyway, with that said, I wish you the best. I'm on your side, and I'll work with anyone who wants to work with the public. But you got a challenge. You got a
May we
challenge.
know what subdivision you live in, Mr. Hauser?
I live in a place called Doe Run, but I've lived on Slash Pine. I've lived on 4 different places within
Right.
our community here. Okay, so and we're all here for the other. And if I leave you with one last thing, JPA Waterworks put together to manage Saul. And if you think you can just operate as one entity within that and not impact the others, don't think so. They go down, you go down. We go down, someone's going to have to pick us up. Someone's going to have to pick us up. I know you've already addressed it and you've made decisions regarding it, and that dam way out there doesn't impact you. But what if the dam on the Woodlands Lake goes under and floods this whole area? You think that mud way out there is going to say, oh, that's their problem? That's their problem. Think about it. Think about it. We're all in this together as Woodlands. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser.
Okay. Item 3, consider an act on request for adjustments. Adjustments? Okay, the consent agenda, as the board looked at the consent agenda items 4 through 9. And do they have any questions?
I just have a couple of comments about item 4, review of the minutes. It's not really a correction. It's just a clarification. I On page 7, whenever we discussed item 13, which the other gentleman is here for, the Honeycomb Ridge request, it says Director De Marseille made a motion to table at this time, I said. And it was seconded by Director Perez. It said the motion failed with directors, with us, for, and directors Frederick and Maggart against. But shouldn't it also say no action was taken? It doesn't say
If
anything.
the motion failed, no action is taken. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
I have one other thing, and it's just a clarification on page 8. At the time, they said that the community working group, which I attend, was meeting on the September the 3rd. Well, that was postponed to the 23rd of this month, and it will be an online meeting. So I wanted you to know I didn't attend because it didn't happen. Thank
Okay.
you.
And I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
have a second. Each second, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, consider an act on the district's draft fiscal year operating budget, recommended water rate structure and financial health of the district.
Before you, let me just, I did this little letter to the board. And I'm not going to read it because it's, did I give you 2 copies? I should have one. Just to paraphrase, pretty much it paraphrases what Mr. Hauser said, that we've had an overall trend, for the past 20 some odd years. Problem with this, the legislature limits us to 3.5%. That happened in 2019. There's word now that it may go down to 2%. I heard somebody say 1%. I don't believe that. But anyway, that really limits our upside. We have a debt service because, and the reason for that was because of the auto meters. We didn't have the money. Everybody else did. And then we have the Moody's downgrade. I think you alluded to it, Dan. The Moody's downgrade, that was in 2024, the Moody's downgraded us. And so what I did give you the charts back here too. Okay, these are charts that I made. All right, I'm glad to give anybody the data behind this. But it just shows where we stand with all MUD. We are absolutely at the bottom of the list with all MUD financially. And in this one chart right here is pretty much the past 20 years. And you say, where'd you get that data? It went over 20 years, right? And the data is out there. And thank you, Maureen, because you helped me a ton with this. You made me work. And then on the back, you see the movie downgrade. So I just urge people to know this before you vote on any kind of extra spending. Where's Shelley?
Did some,
We'll give that to her.
her husband's had a little surgery yesterday.
No joke. That is no fun.
Wow.
So he's doing well.
Is he doing all right? Good. I knew he was going to have it, but.
Okay, back to the budget.
Yes, so you have the budget before you. We did not make any significant changes or anything from what you saw last month. As you recall, we were proposing to add some expense in for addressing the items that we uncovered in our ditch assessment. And so that was the majority of the increase in from previous spending years on the expense side. So that those 2 items were listed in the tan color on the back, 5,312, 5,314 has the ditch work and cleaning and has the storm sewer pipe repair. Other than that, we did not make any changes. This proposed budget creates an annual deficit this year of 325,000. and brings your cash available to, by the end of this budget, to 655,000 at 3.3 months of reserve.
And if I recall, in the orientation meeting, that the target is like 15. Is that correct?
12 would be where we're shooting for most.
That.
There's other factors. Magnitude is also something we look at.
Our sister mud here, mud 6, is about 12, it looks like. I think that's about average. Well, in fact, it is 12.1. And we're at 4 point, I got 4.8.
No, we're at 3.3
It's
according to
3
the
point
new.
at the end of the year, but if you take the whole year and average it out, it's 4 point. That's what.
So we do need to approve the budget this month. Those are the main points of this budget. So take any questions or approval.
I just want to point out that the $300,000 deficit, we had a $300,000 surplus because we added on the transfer of the bond funds to the operating account.
This year.
Right, so it's a wash between the 2 years as far as the 325,000. In other words, we had a positive 300,000 last year for 320. So we don't really have a debt.
So it's a wash. Well, how's
It's a
that?
wash.
How's that good?
Well, I'm just trying to.
It
point
beats
out
being a
that-
deficit.
I just want to point out on why there's a deficit this year, because we're going to spend it, money that we didn't spend last year because we had a $300,000 surplus.
One way.
Now, do you want to keep it in the bank, Pete?
That's one way to look at it.
Okay, I'm just asking you.
We got to cut
No,
costs then.
so are we going to quit?
We got to cut costs then.
Well, what?
That's it. You can't raise your revenue, so you got to cut costs. Vince said it.
Okay, then give us,
Cut.
well, then you come back with a list. You don't have any, if you, anyway,
Yeah.
do I have a motion to approve the budget?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We have questions.
Okay,
So, well, to answer that question, I mean, the two items that I mentioned, there, 201,000, 156,000.
Yeah, that's.
Not all of that is specific to this work. There's annual stuff that's in it. As you can see where the budget was last year. That's roughly what would be there. So we certainly could look at a way to, spread it out over a couple of years. We've already done that with the sanitary sewer. We're not doing a lot of sanitary sewer, just we don't have the cash. There's about $600,000 worth of work there that is not being done. We could certainly cut this down. I would argue that, one of the main things that we need to address, because of a lot of the work that was done a few years ago on the ditches in 36 were actually in pretty good shape comparing them to other districts' ditches. One of the things that I would point out that the ditches are not in great shape in is the tree overgrowth on particularly 9X3 and some of the others. I mean, there's areas where you can't even drive on the top. And that's across the woodlands. I mean, a lot of the ditches have that issue. But if you were looking for ways to break up some of these things that we've recommended, I would start there to do that first, and then maybe look at some of the backslope piping and the outfall piping, as long as there's not something that's ultimately a real immediate sinkhole or major problem. That's where we could cut some expense.
That's exactly what I had highlighted. Large ditch repair and storm sewer repair, obviously stand out. I actually had hoped that the rebate we were going to get from SJRA would help buffer this. So I was disappointed when we came out in the negative again. But I highlighted those two areas that we could slow down on, spread out.
And Eric, this budget does assume the tax rate that we discussed at the last meeting.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And we can't go any higher because that was 3.48%.
That was it. And then, as far as going back to the ditch work, the work that was proposed was the work that we had classified as immediate or as level 3 the worst rating that we gave them. Now, again, you didn't have as much as a lot of districts, but you did have that vegetative overgrowth. That, you know, maybe we do that this year and we can, and make sure there's nothing real immediate on the pipe side. And that would cut some of these expenses.
The way I look at it, if we defer it till later, it's going to cost more later.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah. I think if we've got the carryover funding from last year because of the rebate, we're 3.3 months of reserve, and and we're staying at 3.3 months of reserve. It'd be nice if we could save money in through the operations and build upon that. But I mean, your budget comes up pretty tight compared to your.
Like, yes, you showed me something. I can't find it.
Exactly.
I can't find it.
I went over.
really can't.
I went over the numbers as
You're
well.
running a business and you can't increase your revenue and you can't cut your costs, and you're where you are.
That's the cost of doing business. About the only thing that I saw on this and this is just a trickle, is why do we have so many people that don't have paperless billing? Why do we have such high, the postage costs are increasing, and it just seems like a lot. Are we encouraging paperless billing? I mean, I've been on it for since it's been around.
Yeah, we don't mandate that.
Yeah, no, I mean, not mandated, but encourage it.
We definitely encourage it. Yeah.
Yeah, and even
And it's
with,
come down pretty significantly throughout the Woodlands.
yeah. Okay.
We've made a lot.
Mandated?
So,
Why not?
What'd you say, Murray?
Mandated. You gotta have paperless billing. All you're gonna get is an email bill, or it's online or whatever.
there's so many people that don't even have that.
Well, the merchant credit card fees, a big chunk of that.
Yeah,
People-
and those went down.
No, but people are starting to do
Well,
the.
that's why we
paperless
went to
bill.
the bank
Tell me,
drafts.
yeah,
So
tell me how you,
y'all wouldn't have to pay.
the new software looks like it's saving a lot of money. Tell me a little bit about that. How's it saving so much? And is it going to be a year-on-year savings kind of thing?
Yeah, it's what, I don't have all those.
I mean,
Our bill print vendor alone.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I mean, so that's very commendable. We found a more efficient way of doing something, and saving $30,000.
So we're perpetually short of money. Is that right?
At this point.
Okay.
In their
So
opinion,
how do we solve the problem?
Well-
Can we borrow money from someone?
Well, no, we have to have an election to raise rates.
Well, if we have to have an election to raise rates, then let's do it.
tax rate.
Yeah,
You can increase your water and sewer rates.
Yes.
We
You
did
have,
that,
What?
we did that last year.
you have,
We don't need it.
you have the
You
highest.
say we don't need the
You
money.
say you don't need it. I say you
Everybody
don't
else
need
is
it.
saying we do need it.
Well, but-
So,
But that,
What if we had a catastrophic cave in someplace? Who pays for it?
where would it be?
My house. It falls into a sinkhole. What the hell? I don't know.
Well,
But
just cut your water off.
necessarily the mud's
yeah,
fault.
turn your water up.
that's not the mud's problem.
It may not be the mud's
Well, what
fault.
if it is the mud's problem? Who pays for it, Eric?
No, the mudwood,
The mudwood,
Yeah.
our mudwood.
if it's related to a cave-in,
And if we don't have the money,
We've got it all in here. It happens all the time. Happens all the time.
you got,
Okay, so you say we're not short of.
Let me make an interesting observation. We just got a big refund from the River Authority because their operating expense, we mandated, I'm talking about all the months, mandated that the River Authority not keep more than 3 months of revenue surplus. Right? So they end up in every year or 2 or 3, they end up and have to count to us why they've accumulated this extra money. And we just got a all the MUDs got a refund because they had excess money in their operating account. And unfortunately, no, I'm just telling you that, no, but they,
yes.
and before you were here, these mud boards got onto the River Authority about having all this surplus that we were paying in there. So now they have to go and account for it every.
so we can expect another 300,000 this year.
Listen. So anyway, they end up and they're mandatory from us is they can't keep more than 3 months of operating or their revenue as 3 months of their revenue. Just and they have all these wells and tanks and electrical
Yeah,
equipment,
but that,
wastewater. No, but the
I'm
point,
sitting here and everybody's saying we're short of money except you. I want to know, are we short of money?
We are.
Okay,
Yes.
then how do we solve it? What do we
You
do?
can't do anything about it.
That's immediate.
that's the-
You can't.
You can't immediately do anything about it.
Okay, how long did it take to do something about it?
That's,
You have two major revenue levers, right? One is water and sewer rates, which we talked about. Currently, you have the highest water and sewer rates in all the woodlands. 8 MUDs have the same, 2 MUDs have different, 36 is the highest. You had to do that a few years ago to create some revenue. The other way the other lever you can turn is taxes. Problem with taxes is, as mentioned, you're capped at 3.5%. So the only way that you can adjust that is to go back to the voters and do a rollback tax election to identify a new rate that would allow you to grow some capital to do whatever.
nobody's gonna vote for extra taxes.
No.
Period.
So then you got to look at rates,
Well, since we're talking about.
not
that,
tax
and
rates,
it's on
the
agenda,
water rate.
Water rate, Vince is right. You gotta look at your costs.
So right now, we're reducing the water rate by 2 cents or something
I
like
was
that.
just gonna say, did we go down? That was recommended by Mr. Cohen. Did we go down because property values have gone up and we're trying not to shock the residents? But because,
Hold on, the tax proposal that's in this budget is maxing you at the 3.5% to avoid a rollback tax.
My lord.
but the last year it was 0.0429. This year it's 0.0424. So I was wondering, why didn't we just keep it at the 0.0429?
Because it would cause an election.
Because of the increase in appraised value. So even though.
That's what I just said. Because of the increase in the value, we're trying to keep it more level.
No, we're
Not trying
required
We
to.
have to.
I see.
Correct. Yeah, it generates 3.5% more revenue, but when you have such a low tax rate, it's not really moving the needle. It's not gonna fix the structural issue that you're
Yeah,
talking about.
doesn't move
The
it.
only thing that's gonna fix the structural issue, short of a major rollback election, is having a further increase in your retail rates. I mean, to Eric's point, you've got two levers to generate revenue. You're restricted from the state on one of them. So it's water sewer revenue.
Now,
How do we increase?
But
the
you have by
water
far
rate?
the lowest tax rate. So we have by far the lowest tax rate. If it's total cost of doing business, I would still. That's a good point.
so in the budgets for next year, is monies so back in the last time that we raised rates was January 2024. In 2023, we did a water and sewer rate analysis. And so I'm proposing, and that's in the budgets as well, to refresh that rate analysis. We had a consultant that came in and did it, have them come back in, rerun those models for each of the MUDs and see what makes sense across the board for the various MUDs. So that's already in the budget.
That's in the budget.
Once you approve, it was in the WWA budget.
The studies in the budget.
Put funds in to refresh that rate study that we did.
I don't think we need to study this much in terms of the rates. I think we pretty much, well, no, I mean, the water rates.
Water rate.
That will tell us what we need to put into that.
The study.
I thought the requirement, the number of dollars you need in the mud would dictate what the rate's gonna be, not some consultant. Why can't we make that decision?
Because your rates are tiered, so it's not just multiplying amount of water by a number. You have a multi-tiered structure. And there's been a large spreadsheet and analysis that's been done by a consultant that kind of takes all that into consideration. So it's not as simple, I don't think.
So the consultant looks at individual demand and determines how much each person's gonna pay extra?
No, the different classes of users, those that use the average, those that use more, those that use less, they take all.
Yeah.
Take all that.
Determine how much we're gonna put
They
it
take
down.
all that into
If
consideration.
bigger users pay more, is that what?
Yes,
That's how the rates work.
Yeah, that's how the rates
do
get.
that? I mean, that's gotta be a simple spreadsheet calculation.
No,
No?
No, it has to be, no, let us go through the process and we'll give you recommendations.
Okay,
Okay.
so you'll come back.
So this is a potential solution. If we're gonna do it, we're taking action, okay?
How much money would it raise over the next year?
I
I don't know yet.
Depends on what you raise.
Results are.
The rates
So
do.
if
We
we,
gotta, here's another thing. I mean, it's not as simple as just raising rates. You've got folks on fixed income that can't afford a very large increase. So we have a base rate and we have what we call kind of the lifeline rate for those that use 1,000 gallons a month. You know, there's a lot that goes into the analysis of doing the rate study. It's not as simple as just saying, let's just
Right.
raise the rates for everybody.
We have a lot of older people here in this month.
Right.
Actually, I'm gonna agree with Kent on first thing, wow, and that is don't do anything. We can't do anything.
Not
And
at this
so
time,
the-
without other information.
The only thing we can do is not take on any more money, any more obligations for money. And it's gonna be, it's happened over 20 years. We can't do anything about it for probably the next 20 years, except for just work our way slightly out of it.
My
Yeah,
question,
what you have done over the last few years is defer projects
yeah,
that you
and
need to
that,
be done.
that only goes so far and then the projects cost more and they're worse off.
That's right.
So that's why, to be a little bit aggressive, that's why I put
Yeah.
the full amount on the ditch side. We're still deferring the sanitary sewer stuff, other than what you approved last year to get the engineering going on a small portion in phase 3. But
Okay.
we're trying to inch through this best we
All
can
right.
with the funds that we
Any,
have.
any other questions on the budget itself?
yes, I wanted to find out, can we expect another rebate, in the coming year from SJRA?
I
Or was that a one-time deal?
wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't.
It's every few years.
Okay.
And this has been a little bit wetter year, so there's gonna be less revenue coming in from water rates. Water revenue. That was kind of mentioned in the previous meeting is, you know, it's been a little bit wetter this year, so what drives some of that surplus is drier years, much more usage, and more revenue comes in due to it. But for a wetter year, it's not as good.
And we do have a very high rate for irrigation, so, it's it's pushing over $10, in that category.
In dollars.
If you have
Yeah,
an
when other
irrigation,
people are charging
some people have
1.90.
2 meters. If you have a big house, you can get a second meter and not have to pay a sewer charge on your.
We used to have that, but I don't think they do that anymore. Vivian?
To your point earlier, if you want to look at what your rates are compared to everybody.
Yeah.
page
let's take a
27.
moment. You
You're
got it?
about to approve that.
27,
next-
yep, there they are.
That gives you some perspective, but
I ask a question or is it, that's inappropriate?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. The San Jacinto River Authority, do they cut a contract with each of you individually or with Waterworks on behalf of 12 different muds or
or
whatever?
what?
Their annual contract as they do?
Yeah, so
Sale rates.
across all the months.
And all they have the same rate, no matter what?
Right. Good news is the GRP fee is going down. That's just really a pass through, but it is 5 cents going down on the surface water rate from SJA, but we don't make anything on that because it's a pass through.
I only got one comment. You know, we had a draft of this last meeting. And here we are, beating it to death. And I got, you know, I don't know why we have a draft budget and nobody says anything. And then we get ready to approve it. And everybody's, like it's all
Yeah.
a, revelation tonight. So anyway,
Let's see. So do any other questions on the budget? Because I would like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay,
All those in favor?
yes.
Unanimous.
That was a long way to get there.
Well, we have questions. Tonight is the vote.
No, I agree with you.
I
Yeah,
couldn't-
speaking of water rates. Item 11, consider an act on policy RS 12 rates for water service.
So that's just memorializing your RS 12 rates, as you can see on page 26 and 27. Not proposing retail changes, but there is that 5 cent reduction on the GRP rate to 292. But we need to make, we need to approve that tonight.
Where is that listed, sir?
Page 26 and 27. That document that's made up of page 26 and 27 is RNS 12, which is your policy documenting your rates. And because there's a change to that GRP rate, we need approval to change your rate.
Question on the irrigation, are the irrigation meters also smart meters?
Yeah.
Then why isn't there a base rate for those?
It's a different payment structure for irrigation. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it seems like the part of the paying off the meters is in the base rate.
Well, the meters are put in with bond money, so.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the water rate.
You got it.
Have a motion for Pete,
I'll second that.
second from Vince. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Okay. Considering public hearing regarding the district's intent to levy a 2005 tax rate or 2025 tax rate. And
That's,
guess we got nobody here from the public
Yeah, we
to.
got to adjourn the regular meeting and open the public hearing.
Okay.
Any comments from the public on the tax rate? We now need to close the hearing.
Hearing's closed.
Yeah.
Have a motion to approve the tax rate.
Motion to approve.
second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Good.
So maintenance at 314 and debt of 11, for a total of 0424.
That's all right.
3.500 something.
Is that been, that's already been published, right? Or is this what's going to be published?
No.
No,
it's
the
not
max was
shown.
published, you just approved.
Okay, that's what.
Last time.
Okay. Item 13, consider an act on the levy of the
They just did
district.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Proven execution of amendment to the amended and restated district information form.
Yeah, this is the document to record in the property records as facts about the district. It's required by the water code. It lists what your tax rate is. Now that you've adopted your new tax rate, it needs to be updated and incorporated. So we need a motion to approve that updated.
Motion to approve number 14 then.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. See the regular monthly SGRA Woodlands Division report. Looks like we got nobody from the SGRA here tonight.
We don't have one more place for the president.
So anyway, we're,
On the top right.
anything heard the report of that.
Review.
We had a presentation at the last meeting and they had no permit violations. It was pretty standard presentation, so. Okay, discuss and act on the water line renewal plan analysis completed by HDR.
Yeah, so recall a month ago, the trustees requested that SGRA work with WWA to come back to the MUDs with some recommendations on how to move forward. And then the MUDs would look at that and give direction back to SGRA on how to put things in the table plan. So I've been working with SGRA on that. Yesterday, we had a meeting with HDR and a handful of directors that have been interested in kind of digging more into the details. And I think we had a fantastic meeting where we really got a lot of insight from HDR on how they scoped out each of the 7 projects that were in the evaluation, why they included certain segments of line to be recommended. And what we agreed on kind of moving out of that was to continue on with what the trustees had requested and then come back to the trustees in October and the MUDs in October to show them that recommendation and then have the MUD's director, trustee to give guidance in the November meeting. And what we're really talking about is, you know, all of the 7 projects have a certain amount of lines that were recommended to be replaced. And in some cases, it's just a bright red, obvious, you know, a lot of breaks, bad condition. And so, you know, in some cases, there's orange and yellow in terms of severity of condition or the amount of breaks or criticality or consequence of failure, et cetera, all those various factors. In some cases, they had to make their own best engineering judgment. And in some cases, there's maybe a spur here and there that they decided to include to be conservative. And that was kind of along the lines of what we went through yesterday. We really dug through every project, looked at different spurs, looked at what was being contemplated. And I suspect that what you'll probably see in October is kind of some pared down projects where the scope is reduced slightly and put some of these spurs on maybe a watch list. Because keep in mind, there might be a project that's slated for year 7. Well, and you know, maybe right now there's a spur that's questionable. They included it, but in the next 5 years, it starts breaking a lot. Maybe it's only had 1 break. Well, then that would probably make sense to add that to it versus if nothing's going on with it and it's still looking good, then you'd remove that from the scope of the core project. That's a very kind of rough way to describe it, but that's essentially the direction we're heading. And you'll see that recommendation in October.
I'm very comfortable with that.
Are they going to come out with a longer than 10-year plan then?
Well, the tier 3s are probably going to push out beyond 10 years. And so the tier 1 and 2s will likely be in the 10-year. And then there's 7. 5 of them were tier 1 and 2, and 2 of them were tier 3. So likely those 2 tier 3s will be beyond 10 years. Correct.
So essentially, this is just an information item because we've already approved the right-of-way acquisition engineering for the town center line, right?
I mean, town center's already moving forward as project 1.
Okay,
So
so we've already approved that.
the rest will need to fall in line. And once that direction's been given back to SRA in November, then they can put that on the 10-year project plan. With it being on the 10-year project plan, that will now allow us to do the financial analysis to give you some guidance on what the funding is going to be needed and when it's going to be needed and how much is going to be needed and what effect to the customer that might be.
So how do all these projects get funded? Or is that still in question?
Well, that one and those bigger projects that are SJ projects, they would sell bonds and then they would identify a rate necessary to cover the debt on those bonds. And they would convert that obligation to a rate. And then the MUDs would pay that through users, through how much water you use at your house.
So the water bill is going to go up because of the project.
Well,
Some,
why can't they fund it with just like they've done before and pass through their bond indebtedness through to the original MUDs, like we've done with the expansions of the water and wastewater plants?
I
Well,
don't think that's been.
well, I'm talking about the capacity charges that, Grand Accounting, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they end up and sold bonds to, and then they pass the bond indebtedness through us on
A
a,
different mechanism for the old grant accountings versus for rehab and rehabilitation, which is what this is. So what you're recalling was purchase of additional capacity, and that was only allocated to those parties through the bond that were not based on, they're based on the connections that you were purchasing. So it was allocated to you based on, were you buying 100 more connections, 200, what was the total number of connections that you were purchasing? For rehab and rehabilitation of the contracts, it's billed based on usage. So not based on purchase capacity. So we've done this once before, back in 2017, for some of wastewater treatment plant. repair and improvements. So this would be our second tranche of bonds for rehab and rehabilitation. Before 2017, all rehab in the River Authority system had been paid for on a cash basis. So, but now as we get older and we have these larger ticket items, it doesn't make sense to have a spike in rates to cash fund it because the useful life of the assets post improvements is much longer. So it makes sense to have
Spread it out.
a bond maturity schedule that better matches up with the useful life of the asset.
Okay. Item 17, discuss and act on the Bear Branch Dam modification project, spillway reconstruction and dam safety assessment.
Yeah, so just to give you an update on kind of,
Before we start, Director Maggart made some public comments. Did anybody see those or were they there at the last, when was
No,
it?
let him explain. Let's talk about this first and then we'll see where we're going here.
You want to do that, Gary?
y'all's.
Eric, you go ahead and finish.
Okay, well, so last month, as you know, we talked in this meeting and all the meetings about participation in the construction project for the dam and the shortage of funds necessary to complete the construction piece of that. You saw some numbers. Various MUDs made different decisions on how to do it. There's existing 5 stakeholder MUDs that were already in play. Myself and SGRA attended a township meeting a few weeks ago where we were updating the township at their request on a couple drainage projects. Bear Panther Research Drainage Project, the dam, and the Spring Creek Drainage Project on the west side of the Woodlands. When we got to the dam portion, the conversation got pretty heated and pretty went sideways, I'll just say. And so there was a lot of concern, and we couldn't get it back on the rails at that point. Basically there was a lot of concern that it was, and then the next day or a couple of days later, there was a Houston Chronicle article summarizing from their perspective what had occurred, and a Courier article. It's the same article that posted in both those periodicals. So as I also had gone through the MUD meetings, that there was, this meeting in particular and a couple others are like, well, I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to participate. And I said, you know what? We cannot hold up the engineering for moving forward. So I'm going to separate this discussion on who's in, who's out, and focus on those that are in and get them to, in their budgets, to deal with the engineering piece that was missing. So the 5 stakeholder MUDs and now got all approved. You're the last meeting. Got all approved to put $500,000 in the 5 stakeholder MUDs. It was prorated down to, their share of it. And that gets all of the scope necessary to cover the dam rehabilitation, which was the service spillway and the auxiliary spillway, but basically the entire concrete portion of the dam. And that can go forward. In the meantime, those districts that were contemplating joining in to participate some form of funds in the construction portion, with the engineering going forward, that buys us 12 to 15 months or so to figure out the details on any other MUD that might want to participate in the greater project. So that got me moving, getting that clock started, and then we can circle back and talk about participation and who wants in, who wants out, or whatever. So there was some definite conversation in the meeting we attended about well, who's participating. We did not name names, but said that, we have 9 districts that have expressed some interest in wanting to participate in the project. And then there was one that, had a no vote or whatever. And so.
Well, that was when I was confused. I thought that that's what we voted on at the last, so we never voted on that.
You did, it was 2-2. And
No,
so
but the
it
point
died.
was, okay.
So there was no decision,
Yeah,
that there was. no-
on our part.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Because it died at a 2-2. So I think that meeting then led Kent to attend one of the next meetings, which is, I think, it sounded like what you were about to.
Yes.
So that's kind of where we are. All the MUDs, the stakeholder MUDs did approve the engineering. So that is officially continuing on with the full, because it had started with the initial scope. There was already engineering in the books for that. But when the preliminary engineering was being done, the engineer identified this greater scope, and that was the 500,000 needed to finish all the engineering. So that is moving forward. And then, once they get further along, we'll probably know more of what the actual cost will be on the construction piece.
But we really don't need to take any action on it at this point.
Not tonight, no. I'm asking you to defer any discussion on this. I would like to come back to each of the MUDs with a proposal of mine to consider participation, but
With some small extent.
correct. Even, and it would not be aligned with what you saw. So what you saw in that example, in that box last month, was merely just saying, look, if everybody went in and just going by connections, this is your share. And yours was, I think,
200,000.
250,000, something like that.
211.
Yeah, which was not feasible to begin with. So I'm gonna bring back probably next month or the month after a different proposal that I think would be palatable for all districts. I personally think it's important for all MUDs to participate in the project. I know that doesn't align with everybody, but I think it's something that you need to show unification across the woodlands.
Why?
Why?
Because you're part of this community.
Why is it spread out across the woodlands? Why isn't it just the MUDs?
It is just the $5 now. That's all it is.
Right,
9 months.
5.
well,
Oh, excuse
four of it
It's
is
got- they're-
participating.
Well, they're gonna do the
Why-
engineering.
I don't quite understand why this project demands participation of everybody in the woodlands, whereas normally projects are limited. If it's in your MUD, you pay for it.
No, that's not correct.
It's not.
No, water lines, the wastewater treatment plant, those are all MUD projects. This was identified in the late nineties.
40 projects that are all River Authority, 3 wastewater treatment plants service, all the
All-
River Authority, but the individual MUDs take care of their infrastructure.
Yeah, their personal infrastructure that's specifically within them. That's not in 5 MUD's boundaries. It's only in what MUD's boundary. Physically,
One MUD's boundary.
right, but 5 participate now because of the agreement that was identified in 1999 and then expanded in, I think, 02.
Who owns the dam, Mr. Harry?
Correct. Correct.
The meeting that you missed, we had an engineering presentation with a map talking about a potential flooding incident. And he went into some discussion about how it could flow into the Lake Woodlands, and then Lake Woodlands could go overflow its banks. And so that many people, besides just where the spillway is, would be affected.
And they were talking about a rain event of
37 inches,
how much?
37.
37 inches in a 24-hour period. And that has never happened.
Correct.
Not even during having.
No.
Not here. It did happen
They're
across.
talking about in the watershed up there. In that watershed, I think they only said the maximum they're having, what, 17?
Well, tax day is the worst of tax day Memorial Day at Army here. And that was about 15 to 16
Oh,
inches.
that's water in the house.
In the watershed upside of the dam is what's
Yeah.
critical.
That's true.
Well, Mary, what made the directors of the township directors so hyper was the engineers said this was urgent and important,
Yeah, so
and it's not. Okay,
Well, it's urgent. Their intention was it was urgent to move forward with getting the engineering done. Not
They said
that,
the concrete was just disintegrating. It did not?
That's exactly why it went sideways.
Okay.
yeah, that it was taken to mean that the dam is in imminent danger, which is not true. The dam is safe, but there's been a lot of stories from a
Okay.
lot of people spreading a lot of misinformation and scaring a lot of people, quite frankly. So tomorrow evening, myself and Aubrey Spear will be at the township meeting to correct some of that and clarify some of that. John and I have worked up a public announcement that goes along with that same sentiment that, I really don't want the community to feel unsafe that the dam is in jeopardy, which it's not.
It's not.
So Aubrey mentioned that at his last STRA meeting, board of directors meeting. He's going to reiterate that tomorrow night if needed, and we're going to post a posting that kind of talks about that as well. So
Sounds good.
we're going to attempt to do that.
Okay.
I've run the traps with the township directors too. Hopeful for a calmer meeting tomorrow night.
Well, I got a lot of years from Brad, all the guys. And, can I talk now?
Go ahead.
Okay, I have a problem with the comments that you made at the meeting, and I was at the very end of your comments at the township meeting. You stated that I'm sure other directors might have a problem with what I said, and they're welcome to come here. So I'm not gonna go there. But I did feel like it's important to just pass all these things around, okay? And show you what I was planning to go there and talk about your comments. And that is, I'm just gonna paraphrase this, because you can read. And that is, you represented yourself.
Wait a minute. I said, you'll notice in that comment, I said, these are my personal comments, but
Yeah, and then you said, but I am the director.
You said I'm the president.
I'm the president of Mud 36. And so I don't believe that you can be the president of Mud, in a public forum like that, you can't do both. You can't say I'm an individual and I'm the president. They're going to take it wrong. Another thing is, you stated that the operating budget was $1 million. And the River Authority, on the day before our budget meeting, proposed participation of 200,000. It was 211,000, and we elected not to participate, which is totally. But actually, the budget is $3.2 million, which is a little bit higher than that. You talked about
our operating budget, expense budget is 1.8, 1.08, right?
Semantics. We'll admit that we're in the mud that elected not to participate. We do not contribute to the watershed, and we are not up front. Or we're not the way up front.
I'm sorry, point of order here. This is a public comment type thing, not a director. This is not on the agenda.
Well, it's not on this. It's what it is.
Number 17.
It is on
Okay.
agenda number 17. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And I'm just going through this kind of.
Yeah,
You know, I'm speaking here personally. Though I'm the president of the MUD, I'm speaking personally, and I think you can see it if you want the real comments. I can send you the link on YouTube.
You can look on the
You can-
township website and every video is posted.
I made summaries of this. You can see number 5 is basically a reiteration. And in our meeting, Sharon walked out to get some water. You can see her come back in, and we took no action on this. And you said we voted not to do it. And I have a real problem with you making public comments about this mud when they were not true. That's all I have to say.
As I said, you're welcome to go up there and tell them that
So you would like for me to go and read this to them?
you're welcome.
I know.
You got 3 minutes of public comments. You can just say whatever.
There's a First Amendment right in this country. We say anything we want, no matter what it is. So the only thing I want to do is I want to be clear and be precise and correct on what I'm doing, what I say and what I do. So just take a look at it. And if you want me to do that.
I invited you by public comment.
You've invited me up there. Good. I can't make it tomorrow night, but I guarantee you I'll make it the next time. Enough said.
Okay. Number 18, consider an act on conveying an easement to the Honeycomb Ridge Homeowners Association for park use. And the gentleman here from Honeycomb Ridge, you're welcome now to make a public comment.
I'm John Bible. I'm a resident of Honeycomb Ridge, and I'm also a board member for our small HOA there. David Anderson, who I believe has spoke to y'all a couple times. Once. he's out of town, so he wasn't here. I'm not sure exactly where the conversations were. But it's my understanding that the MUD is considering an action to grant us an easement for park use over the tract that connects the two sides of Nursery Road, I guess, if you would, to use as a park. David probably already told you that we spent $31,000 improving landscape there. We pay to irrigate it, we use water. We pay to maintain that. You know, that's our park area in all intents and purposes, but it's not our park area. So I don't know other questions you may have. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Do you pay to maintain it
Our total expenditures are,
on an annual basis?
I think our contract for landscape maintenance is 17,000 a year. And then our water bill varies obviously with usage over there.
A reminder that this was a request to basically paper up, I think, an understanding that was made years ago that they could utilize the facility or the property that you own. And they came to us requesting that we paper up to give them the legal right to do what they're doing essentially. And Brian and I met with them and we agreed that I think the cheapest and easiest way to paper this up, you can do it a couple different ways, but the cheapest and easiest way to do this would be to basically try to take the deed, which has the property description in it, and then craft up easement language that spells out your rights and their rights within the easement, utilizing that meets and bounds and property description in the deed. And that would be the cheapest way. What was said last month, which was accurate, we don't know, we've got to go through the process, but probably $5,000 to $10,000. We both agree that by utilizing the deed, it's probably under $5,000. If we found out that we had a hiccup and we actually had to have, survey on the ground and do a whole boundary survey of the property, et cetera, boundary verification, then it may be more. We don't believe that's the direction it's going to go. So that was the number that was thrown out. I think that scared some folks perhaps, but I think this is an opportunity for both parties to paper up and protect yourselves, both of you, both the district and the HOA. That would be my recommendation.
So you guys are gonna participate in this or not? Say it's 5,000, okay, it's 5, which we don't have, obviously. But are you guys gonna participate in that $5,000 to any extent?
If your question's financially,
Yes.
so as we continue to build out Honeycomb Ridge, and there's still 2 empty lots, which I plan on, I'm a builder also, on those lots there, so I plan on starting those homes. I think that'll be, the 5,000 will be half the tax revenue off of Honeycomb Ridge only, not considering Honey Daffodil, the other street there. So we are participating significantly by, obviously, new homes cost more than existing homes. There's a significant tax basis there for the MUD district. In addition to Director Maggard asked about maintenance, we do pay, I think, $7,000 a year for liability insurance to cover ourselves as homeowners, and we don't even own the property. Most of the directors, we didn't know that we didn't own the property when we spent all that money to improve it. But we are where we are, so I feel like we're participating by contributing significantly increased tax revenue, which will continue in perpetuity beyond just, portion of 1 year's tax revenue.
John, I brought up the liability issue when Mr. Anderson was here. And he told me that y'all are wanting to put a fence up.
Yes, ma'am. And the fence issue really comes from, not from the liability perspective as much, in my opinion. When I look at the situation, the usage in the park and the failure to treat the park respectfully by residents that pass through that are not residents of Honeycomb Ridge. That's who we see the damage coming from, whether kids are walking through and kicking over lights or doing whatever, people aren't picking up behind their pets, things like that. It's not the ones that live right there with us, it's other people that are
So how
utilizing
does
it.
one gain access to it then? If you're,
It's wide open right now.
but if you're, once you have the fence,
Just a punch code on the gate. There's a gate that keeps at the end of Honeycomb Ridge. There's a small little pocket park there as well. And there's a gate to the MUD district
Okay.
facility there, the drainage way with the sidewalk.
And we'll need to, if we go forward with this, we would need to address that because we're gonna need to have free access to that whenever we can or need to. Because we do recall have, I think it's water and storm, I believe, that goes straight across the property. So we're gonna need to have, full access to the property.
And the gating such that large equipment could get through.
Correct.
We have-
Otherwise, we're gonna have to tear down any gate or fence or anything like that. My understanding was that there was interest in putting up a gate to prevent motor vehicle, other traffic. But I didn't know about the punch code, but
Yeah,
we're just-
we'll need to talk about that, because that is
Yeah.
a little concerning that all district, I mean, that is district property, and it
Yeah.
would be limited access to a subset of district residents, so.
yeah, that's a little different than what we were told. So
Would the mud district be interested in taking over the maintenance of that park?
I don't think you want it mowed four times a year.
Vote 4 times.
Is there, is there slush? I didn't see any miscellaneous type funds in there, just for things like this in the budget.
I mean, your budget has a resulting cash flow of about 655,000 at the end of the budget, at the end of next year. So, yeah, your cash position at the end of this budget, assuming we do all the stuff and everything happens the way we think, you would have about 655,000 at the bank at that point. So, obviously we would try to work towards getting it as cheaply as we can. That just was our estimate and where we thought it would fall.
I would be for it if we shared some of the expenses. I mean, outside of your, I mean, if you're a builder, you're gonna build a couple of houses, obviously, you're gonna make money on those houses, which I love, that's a capitalist society. But, and then we'll, at some point in time, we'll get a tax base from it, but,
Right now,
right now,
Brian, how did that builder did we ever sign any kind of agreement that they would build that park? Do you have any idea? Or, the developer built the original parks and I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, the Woodlands typically,
I'm
those,
paid for this.
if they're part of the township, then, a lot of those parks, all of them are operated by, Woodlands Township.
but they're not part
No,
of the
I know,
township.
but that's what I was, so the
Yeah, they're on.
developer he just basically is a squatter and built the park, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was trying to remember how,
That you're allowing encroachment on your property is basically where it stands right now.
well, they end up and spend a lot of money. We end up and they're gonna maintain our property in perpetuity for $5,000. If somebody came to your house and wanted to maintain your property for $5,000 in perpetuity, I'd ask them, well, where's the paperwork?
Damn.
Sign me up. So I make a motion that we approve Eric and Brian to put together the lowest cost easement that satisfies the homeowners association.
Could
And
we vote on it at that time?
we've got a motion right now.
You got a motion?
Yeah,
I'll
so,
second it.
All those in favor?
yes.
Those against?
Against.
Motion passes.
Sorry, guy.
Well, I'm saying,
We're broke. I'm saying that.
I think, comment section's over. But yeah, the tax increase affects everyone. And if a rate increase goes into place, then people can control their bills. They can use less water, and not have to incur more expenses. So probably more equitable for everyone. But that's all.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Thanks for hanging around.
Thanks for sharing.
I'd like to hear from residents.
Okay, received attorney's report.
Nothing additional we haven't already discussed.
Received general manager's report.
Almost nothing we haven't discussed. John, do a quickie.
Page 60 for your communications report. Wanted to give you on the, right there up top, our objectives for this fourth quarter focus area of value, so you understand what we're trying to achieve. In part, Eric mentioned that we'll have that Bear Branch Dam piece out here soon. We'll make sure you see that. Next page, infrastructure renewal. We got a community working group session scheduled for next Tuesday, the 23rd. They're going to be hearing from HDR on the water line assessment. Next Thursday, the 25th, there's a USGS presentation on the state of our aquifer. So that's their annual summary of our water table elevations. There's a Zoom link there. You can watch it live. You can go to it live at HARC, or you can watch the recording, and we'll make sure that you easily find that recording. And then lastly, on page 63 is our outreach calendar. So take a look there. Would love to see you out. You're always welcome at the booth when we're out there. Press the flesh. All right, any questions?
Where's Dan's plaque? He was
Eric,
here,
you have anything else?
Oh,
he was here earlier and said, where's my plaque?
Oh.
Okay.
I've got it.
Yeah.
Eric doesn't have anything else. Received the Woodlands trustees report. I just wanted to summarize, you've got a long drawn out PowerPoint copies of the presentation about the settlement up there. And we didn't get any money, but as I pointed out, the most important thing that happened, and it's going to be a plus, is the GRP is going to be absolved. In the original GRP, what was it, 2080, and the projection was that they were going to build 4 plants over the next 20 years. In fact, the second 30 million gallon a day plant was supposed to go online this month or this year.
The second one?
The second one. That was the original proposal. And I won't get into it, but I spent a lot of time and effort trying to keep that from happening. But they ended up and essentially dissolved the GRP, and the plant as it exists is going to be a standalone plant owned by the River Authority. And there's no obligation from here on out for all the current residents to fund development in the water development in the rest of the county, which is
if 85% of the groundwater users agree to it.
right. But
That's a key.
well, but if I was a that's got to be a huge selling point. All these people that think that we're stuck with paying a GRP fee forever and funding God knows what development in the rest of the county. So I'd say that's the big, and I would think that everybody that's in the GRP would sign that so fast. We didn't get a rebate because of the money that we paid to make up for the city of Conroe's shortfall over the last 8 or 9 years. But the fact that GRP is going to be dissolved, like I saw the 85%, but I can't believe that somebody said, no, I want to stay in this GRP for the rest of the century. So anyway, I'd say that's the big positive, even though we didn't get a refund like I thought we might. But anyway, I think, yeah, but I think it's a positive that that whole thing has been resolved. I guess the GRP ultimately, when the bonds are paid off, that goes away too in 2043, the committee that you're a member of. So that is going to go away eventually, but you're still going to have the GRP committee to oversee the operation. So the existing plant, but so anyway, that's kind of a summary of what I saw, and I think it's the fact that it was ever formed in the first place.
Yeah, it looked to me like the role of the GRP committee also diminishes slightly with the approval of that as well.
More than likely, you won't be adding any additional participants, I wouldn't think. I think we'd be foolish to do that. But anyway, that's kind of a summary of that presentation that was in here. But so we're still going to have a surface water conversion fee in most of us lifetime, because that goes till 2043 or something. So we're still going to have the $3 But at least on the old plan, it would have been going to 6 this year. Surface water conversion fee if the original concept and proposal and DFCs and all that were stayed the same.
We done?
Yeah, we are. Item 22. No closed session. We know. Discuss matters for placement on the future agenda. Anybody got anything that you want to add? Meeting's adjourned.